Welcome back to the BookTube channel. This time I'm going to be welcoming the month of October by announcing that I will be taking part in Victober, which is the Victorian Literature Reading Challenge. In this video I'm going to tell you all the books that are on my TBR for this challenge. Every year Victober is a readathon of Victorian literature that is hosted by booktubers Lucy the Reader, Katie Books and Things, so Angie from Beyond the Pages, and Katie Howe. They each came up with a challenge and we have around 5 challenges and 1 bonus challenge. I'm going to talk about Victorian literature and what it means to me first before I begin this challenge. Victorian literature includes all the books that were written between 1837 and 1901, books that were published during the era of Queen Victoria. The Victorian novels were written in a serialized format, and of course Charles Dickens is one of the bestest Victorian writers out there. And among the others, there's Oscar Wilde, George Eliot, that have done amazing work. You must have heard of Penny Dreadfuls, which were very popular during the time. A lot of these novels talked about the social situation under Queen Victoria's rule. They talked about class, industrialization, because that's when a lot of economic changes were happening in England. The books that I've chosen are actually very short reads because I don't have too much time on my hands this October, so I decided to pick up novellas from all the writers that I would like to read. Let's get started and I'll take you through the books that I've picked for this challenge. The first challenge is to read an underrated Victorian novel published in the same year as your favorite Victorian novel. My favorite Victorian novel is The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. This is about a man called Griffin. He does a lot of experiments and figures out a trick to do people's refractive index in such a way as to make himself appear invisible. This book is about a man who turns himself invisible and how society views an invisible man and what it's like to not be able to become visible again. They're not able to empathize with his situation. It's a science fiction, partly fantasy, but I really enjoyed reading it. Because it was published in the year 1897, I have decided to pick another book after much research that I found was also published in 1897. So I've chosen to read The Nigger of Narcissus by Joseph Conrad. Joseph Conrad is known for writing books about voyages across the sea. He himself went on a voyage on a boat before writing this book. The boat's name is Narcissus, and this is about a black man who ends up being on the boat and he suffers from tuberculosis, and this causes everyone on the boat to panic because they're afraid that they'll catch the disease. That's what the tiny novella is about. It's definitely worth picking up if you don't have too much time and you still want to do the Victober challenge. The next challenge is read a book by a female Victorian author, and bonus points if you choose an author that is new to you. I haven't read too many Victorian female writers before. I do want to read Elizabeth Gaskell and I have a copy of North and South and I'm looking forward to that, but it is really long for me to pick in this challenge, so I have decided instead to choose George Eliot's Silas, Marner, which is a book about a man and a little girl and the kind of father-daughter relationship they share, and it's also got a rural setting, so it gives you a nice perspective on life in the Victorian era in the rural countryside and how common folk used to live. The next book that I've chosen is part of the third challenge, which is to read a Victorian novel under 200 pages. So for this I have chosen The Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde. I liked the premise of The Canterville Ghost and therefore decided to pick it up. Also, it's got a bit of satire in it and it is dark and scary, and Victober is also very close to Halloween, so I decided to pick this spooky read. The Canterville Ghost is about an American family that inhabits this country manor. This manor is haunted and the whole book is narrated by a ghost, and that's what makes it really interesting because we don't usually hear a ghost narration. We don't get to witness a ghost narrating his tale and his perspective. The next challenge is to read a Victorian novel that's 500 pages long. I'm reading a novel that's 488 pages long. I've decided to pick Dracula because Dracula is kind of scary and at the same time it's Halloweeny, so it makes sense to read this for Victober, and I haven't ever read Dracula before. I've seen the movie, but I'm hoping that the book will be much nicer than the movie. Being someone who's visited Whitby, which is an amazing place in the UK, which is where Bram Stoker lived and drew inspiration for his novel from, and seeing the cemeteries over there, I definitely think I'm going to love Dracula. It's about a man who visits from London, he goes to Transylvania and he enters the castle and he figures that it's haunted. Count Dracula lives in the castle. A lot of strange events start occurring. It's just very interesting, so I'm going to read that. For the fourth part of the challenge, it is to reread a Victorian novel, and I've read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by R.L. Stevenson last year and I really loved it. It is about split personality disorder. It's the first time that R.L. Stevenson or anybody ever wrote about this. It's about this man who has this disorder where he has a dark side and bright side. That's what the book is about. It's kind of dark and eerie and spooky, which is perfect for Victober and October in general, which is why I picked it. So let me know if you've read it. I would love to hear your thoughts. So I will reread this novel for this challenge this year. And the final challenge is my favorite challenge of all, and that is read a Victorian novel by candlelight. The reason I like the challenge is because I think it's so unique. It is the most Victorian thing that you can possibly do, to read a book by candlelight, and that's why I have chosen to read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Decided to read this book by Lewis Carroll, which I've never read before and I've had for ages. I think I really like this because it's got a lot of fantastical magical elements, and it's just got a lot of quirkiness, which is what Lewis Carroll is best known for, and his characters are fantastic, everything from the Jabberwocky to the hookah smoking caterpillar. Finally, we have to read, as part of a group read along, A Woman of No Importance and The Importance of Being Ernest. So 2 plays have been chosen to be read, and I will be taking part in this read along. I have previously read The Importance of Being Ernest and I found it hilarious. It is a satire about social class and the scandals that used to take place in late Victorian society when everyone was really conscious about their position in society. I'm really keen to read A Woman of No Importance. I haven't read that before, so I'm really excited to be taking part in Victober, and I'd love to hear the books that you've chosen in order to complete this challenge. Please let me know if you're taking part in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.